righty, brothers and sisters. Before we dive into the lesson, we're going to have the reading of the law as we do in all of the Israel of God locations. This one is no different. We're going to have the reading of the law, then we're going to jump into today's lesson. We're going to hit Exodus 20, Ecclesiastes 12, and Revelations 22. Exodus chapter 20, my brother. Go ahead and read it.
And God spake all these words, saying, I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day, to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's.
Thank you, brother. Okay, our next spot is Ecclesiastes 12. We're going to read those last two verses, 13 and 14.
Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments. For this is the whole duty of man.
Yes, sir.
For God shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil.
Okay, in our last spot, Revelations chapter 22, verses 14 and 15.
Blessed are they that do his commandments, that they may have right to the tree of life and may enter in through the gates into the city. For without are dogs and sorcerers and whoremongers and murderers and idolaters and whosoever loveth and maketh a lie.
Thank you for that, brother. As I
Yes, sir.
said, always we read those in every Israel of God location, because at the end of the day, that's your way to salvation, keeping the commandments of God. In fact, if society kept them, you wouldn't need police out here. Okay?
That's right.
So let me start by saying to all the sons and daughters of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, spiritually and physically here in the Bay Area, good morning.
Good morning, brother.
And welcome home. Welcome home here at the Israel of God Bible study class in Hayward, California, where we teach the Bible by subject and by title. I also want to greet all of our online viewers, whether they're watching live or later, okay? My name is Brother James, and reading for us is our brother Michael, okay? And today's lesson, brothers and sisters, if you received your weekly letter, you saw it. Today's lesson is titled Healing the Broken Heart. Healing the broken heart. And we all deal with things, brothers and sisters, that in one way or another is hard on us, okay? We suffer losses, we suffer setbacks, disappointments, sickness, struggles, okay? We have periods of grief and mourning, okay? And these are hurtful situations that happen in every area of our lives, okay? So what are we to do about it, though? How do we handle these broken hearts? What are our tools? Okay. Well, in today's lesson, we'll see what a broken heart is. And we will look at some tools that you can put in place. And we'll see what God's position is on your broken heart. Okay. So let's start today's lesson in Psalm 147, the 147th Psalm. Okay. Because we all know in some cases, time will heal that broken heart. But let's look at the other part of it. If anybody needs the fans turned down, let me know. Okay. So we're going to start in Psalm 147, and we're going to pick it up at that very first verse, Psalm 147 and verse 1. Go ahead and read it, brother.
Praise ye the Lord,
Mm-hmm.
for it is good to sing praises unto our God.
Yes.
For it is pleasant, and praise is comely.
Yes, sir.
The Lord doth build up Jerusalem.
Mm-hmm.
He gathereth together the outcasts of Israel.
Yes.
Great is our Lord.
Wait a minute. Pick up that verse 3.
He healeth the broken in heart.
He does what, brother?
He healeth the broken in heart.
So we talking about the Lord God Almighty. It says he healeth the broken heart. Go ahead and read it.
And bindeth up their wounds.
So we have to believe that. First and foremost, we have to believe that he can do that.
That's right.
Skip down and read verse 5, brother.
Great is our Lord, and of great power.
Yes, sir.
His understanding is infinite.
So now let's go into Proverbs 15, because if this God has great power and infinite understanding, and as we can read in Revelations 19, he is omnipotent. That means his power is limitless. There's no limit on his power. So of course he can help you with your situation. Okay. So now let's hit Proverbs 15 and verse 13. Proverbs 15 and verse 13. 15 and 13. Go ahead and read it, brother.
A merry heart maketh a cheerful countenance.
It says a merry heart maketh a cheerful countenance. Like I heard somebody back here this morning ask somebody else how they doing, and the person responded, I'm happy. That's how the person responded. It says a merry heart maketh a cheerful countenance, right?
Right.
Go ahead and read, brother.
But by sorrow of the heart,
But by the sorrow of heart,
the spirit is broken.
the spirit is broken. That's a sorrow in mind. Your spirit is broken. But we need to find out today what to do about it. Let's stay in Proverbs. Hit that chapter 17 and pick it up at verse 25. 17 and 25. By the time we get out of here today, y'all gonna have some tools to work with. 17 and 25. Go ahead and read it, brother.
A foolish son is a grief to his father,
Yes, sir.
and bitterness to her that bear him.
And we all know that to be true. You have a child that's a knucklehead, get out there doing things,
Right.
They go to jail. Y'all know people out here losing their children. Imagine the grief they go through. Or their children keep getting in trouble, or they go to jail, or they get sick. But it says here, a foolish son is a grief to his father, and bitterness to the mother, the one that bare him. Back up, my brother, to verse 21 and read it. Go ahead and read that.
He that begetteth a fool doeth it to his sorrow,
Mm-hmm.
and the father of a fool hath no joy.
I know that's right. Go ahead.
A merry heart doeth good like a medicine,
Yes, sir.
but a broken spirit drieth the bones.
So it says a merry heart is like having good medicine, a happy person. But it says, but the father of a fool ain't gonna have no joy, because you always got to put out them fires, or try to put out the fires that your child is setting. But this is just one way a person could have a sorrow heart or a sorrow mind. There are several other ways stuff like this can give you grief. You can have grief in every part of your life, at the job, at the church, at home, in your community. That grief is coming, and we need to know how to deal with it, okay? So let's go to Jeremiah chapter 23, and we're going to read verses 9 and 10. Jeremiah 23, 9 and 10. Jeremiah, we just trying to establish a little foundation here. Jeremiah 23, we're going to start at verse 9. 23 and 9. And let's look at what Jeremiah is saying here. Go ahead and read it.
Mine heart within me is broken because of the prophets.
He said his heart is broken because of the prophets. Go ahead and read.
All my bones shake.
Y'all know we already read that broken heart and that sorrow of mind makes them dry bones.
Right.
And I've seen people, that sorrow of mind make the dry bones means it's killing you. Y'all ever see somebody that's been married 50, 60 years and one of them died? And then next week, the other one just, the broken heart, they just die, man. Y'all seen that happen. A broken heart make dry bones. Jeremiah said his bones are shaking. Go ahead and read.
And like a man whom wine hath overcome because of the Lord.
Start that verse over, brother. Verse 9. What did it say?
Mine heart within me is broken because of the prophets. All my bones shake.
Yes, sir.
I am like a drunken man.
Yes, sir.
And like a man whom wine hath overcome because of the Lord.
Yes.
And because of the words of his holiness.
Go ahead.
For the land is full of adulterers.
Yes, sir.
For because of swearing, the land mourning.
Y'all see what Jeremiah is saying here? He's saying because of the swearing, the land is mourning. And he already been told and been trying to tell the kings that the Lord said, if y'all don't get it together, he's going to bring Nebuchadnezzar down on Jerusalem. He's going to scatter y'all as slaves. And y'all, by evidence that we in California, they didn't listen to Jeremiah.
That's right.
Go ahead and read, brother.
The pleasant places of the wilderness are dried up.
Yes, sir.
And their course is evil, and their force is not right.
And their force is not right. Let's go to Hebrews 11. See, we read about a man grieving because his son is foolish. Jeremiah was grieving because of what he knew what the Lord was going to do to Israel. He knew what was coming. So we all have different reasons to grieve, okay? But let's start picking up some of these tools. Hebrews 11. We just want one verse right here. Hebrews 11 and 6. Because we've already read that the Lord said he is there for the broken heart. He will heal the brokenhearted. We've already read that. The question is, do you believe it? You believe that job when they told you, you come work for 3 weeks, you get your first check after 3 weeks. You believe that.
Preach, brother.
You went in there to that job and went to work 3 weeks straight without getting a dime. And the Lord telling you out this Bible that you say you believe that he healed a broken heart. Do you believe that? That's the question. Do you believe he can help you out with that? Will you go to him with that? Okay. Hebrews 11 and 6. Go ahead and read it, brother.
But without faith, it is impossible to please him.
Do we see this? If you don't believe in God, it's impossible to please God. Go ahead and read.
For he that cometh to God must believe that he is.
If you go to him, you must believe that he exists. Go ahead and read.
And that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him.
That halfway seek him.
Diligently seek him.
Do we see this, brothers and sisters? The first thing is you have to believe that he is.
That's right.
And then if you seek him diligently, he will reward you. Not halfway seeking, diligently seeking them. Okay. So now let's go to Matthew 11 and put Jesus on the witness stand, because you know we're going to do that in here. Matthew chapter 11. And let's pick it up at verse 28. Actually, that's the only verse we want right there. 11 and 28. Matthew chapter 11 and 28. And look at what Jesus said right here. 11 and 28. Go ahead and read it, brother.
Come unto me, all you that labor and are heavy laden.
Now Jesus is standing there in the flesh saying, come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden. Go ahead and read.
And I will give you rest.
So right here, he said he will give you rest. Right. We read that he heals the broken heart already. He said he'll give you rest. You have to believe this. So we're seeing that one thing is one of these tools that we need to operate with is faith in God. That's simply your belief in him.
That's right.
You don't have to get full of nothing and turn no flips down this center aisle and run around the building 3 times, okay? All you got to do is believe that it is, okay? So now, let's hit 2 Corinthians chapter 1. So that first tool that you need is faith in God. We believe everything else except God. But we got that Bible. Do you believe what's in it? 2 Corinthians chapter 1. Because all the answers is right here. If somebody would have told me this 20 years ago, I would have said, man, get out of here. But boy, have I been changed. My mind has been changed on that. Your answers are right in here. Hiding. And they always tell you want to hide something from somebody, where you put it?
In a book.
Put it in a book. You can put your life savings inside of a book and they'll never find it.
Never.
2 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 3. 2 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 3. Go ahead and read it.
Blessed be God, even the Father of our Lord Jesus Christ.
Yes, sir.
The Father of mercy.
The Father of what?
The Father of mercy.
Go ahead.
And the God of all comfort.
He's the God of what?
All comfort.
Do we see this, y'all?
Yes, sir.
He is the God of all comfort. Go ahead and read, brother.
Who comforted us in our tribulation, that we may be able to comfort them which are in any trouble by the comfort wherewith we ourselves are comforted of God.
See this, it says he comfort us in all our tribulations, and we have it in various forms, okay? We have it in various forms that trouble comes to us. It could be at the job, it could be financial, it could be you lost a family member, it could be a number of things, okay? Go ahead and read, brother, verse 5.
For as the sufferings of Christ abound in us, so our consolation also aboundeth by Christ.
Yes, sir. So now let's go and hit 1 Peter chapter 5. 1 Peter chapter 5. We talking about the God of comfort. That's where it starts. And then you have your part to do in it. Okay? That trouble is going to come, but it's not going to always last. And part of hitching yourself to this God of this Bible is your test going to come, your trials going to come, and your troubles are going to come. How do you handle them? That's the question, okay? 1 Peter 5 and 6, go ahead and read it.
Humble yourselves, therefore, under the mighty hand of God,
yes,
that he may exalt you in due time. Casting all your care upon him.
How many of your cares?
All of your cares.
Cast all your cares upon him. Why, brother?
For he careth for you.
So we already see that he cares for you. He's the God of comfort, and he will help heal that broken heart. So you are supposed to go to him. So now let's go to the 23rd Psalm. Some of us probably can say this one with our eyes closed, huh?
I'm telling you.
The 23rd Psalm. And oftentimes people think that David is speaking in the Psalms. Most of the Psalms is Jesus talking by David's pen. Okay? A few times you be reading and you be, oh, that's David right there. Because most time when I'm reading the Psalm, I'm like, this is Jesus talking. Then I have to stumble up on something and say, oh, that's David right there. Because most of it is the Lord talking.
Yes, sir.
Telling you about what they going to do to him when he come in the flesh. How they was going to give him vinegar as he thirsts. Just giving you the whole thing. It's in the Psalms. And every now and then you'll be reading, oh, that's David right there. Okay.
Facts.
Psalm 23, my brother. Pick it up at that first verse, 23 and 1. What did it say?
The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want.
I know that's right. Go ahead.
He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters.
Yes, sir.
He restoreth my soul.
Y'all know what that still waters is? That's that peace. It ain't no rushing white river. It's still waters. Go ahead and read.
He leadeth me in the path of righteousness for his name's sake.
Yeah.
Yeah. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil.
Why, brother?
For thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me.
Didn't we read he's the God of comfort?
We did.
You better put your trust in God. So anything coming against you, you better say, hey, my God is going to handle this. He's already told you that if your ways please him, he'll be an enemy to your enemies. If your ways please him, he'll be an adversary to your adversaries.
That's right.
Then he told you if your ways please him, he will make your enemies be at peace with you. I like those guarantees. It seems like my part in it is light. Just do what he told me to do and won't even worry. And every time you turn on the news, it's chaos all over this Bay Area. When I look around in here, we just cruising right on through it. Why? Because one of his commandments is to have a holy convocation today. Not tomorrow, today. It's the people that's going to go tomorrow that's got all them issues. Let's stay in Psalm. Let's hit that chapter 56, brother. Psalm 56. Let's pick it up at that first verse. He said, the Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. Psalm 56. Psalm 56. And let's pick it up at verse 1. Psalm chapter 56 and verse 1. Go ahead and read it, brother.
Be merciful unto me, O God.
Yes.
For man would swallow me up. He fighting daily oppresseth me.
Go ahead.
Mine enemies would daily swallow me up. For they be many that fight against me, O thou most high.
Go ahead.
What time I am afraid, I will trust in thee.
And that's what you do. When you got that broken heart, when you dealing with that trouble, when you got these problems, you trust in God. Go ahead and read.
In God, I will praise his word.
Yes.
In God, I have put my trust.
Yes, sir.
I will not fear what flesh can do unto me.
You should not do that. Put your trust in the Lord, brothers and sisters. That's another one of these tools. The title of today's lesson is Healing the Broken Heart. The first tool we read about was your faith in God. And we have read what he said he would do about your broken heart. We have read that he is the God of comfort. Right. Okay? And we have read that you put all your burdens on him and he'll give you rest. We have read these things, okay? And we read that he cares for you. So now let's go and hit Isaiah 26, and then we're going to really do some digging after this. Isaiah chapter 26, let's pick it up at that first verse. Isaiah 26 and verse 1. Healing that broken heart. And we have all had things that'll give us one. Isaiah 26 and verse 1. 26 and 1. Go ahead and read.
In that day shall this song be sung in the land of Judah.
Yes, sir.
We have a strong city. Salvation will God appoint for walls and bulwarks. Open ye the gates, that the righteous nation which keepeth the truth may enter in.
Yes, sir.
Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee.
Do y'all see this, brothers and sisters? It said if your mind is stayed on the Lord, he'll keep you in perfect peace.
Right.
But if you worried about everything else, then we can't guarantee that. We can't tell you that. You worried about what little Willie and them gonna do to you. But if you keep your mind stayed on taking care of God's business, he'll give you that perfect peace. Go ahead and read it.
We read that again, verse 3.
Yes, go ahead.
Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee, because he trusteth in thee.
And that is the why. That's the answer to the why. Because he trusts in the Lord. Go ahead and read.
Trust ye in the Lord forever.
For how long, brother?
Forever.
Trust in the Lord forever, brothers and sisters. Go ahead.
For in the Lord Jehovah is everlasting strength.
Part-time strength, brother.
Everlasting.
He got that all power. Okay, great power, brothers and sisters. So now let's go into Philippians 4 and pick up this third tool that you can use when your heart is broken, because we have already shown you that you got to have that faith in God. You got to have that faith. And then we kept on reading that you have to trust that he can give you what you need. You have to trust that. So now let's pick up this next tool in Philippians chapter 4. Philippians chapter 4. And we are going to start at verse 4. Philippians 4 and 4. Philippians 4 and 4. Let's pick up this next tool. 4 and 4. Go ahead and read it, brother.
Rejoice in the Lord always.
Yes.
And again I say, rejoice.
Go ahead.
Let your moderation be known unto all men.
Mm-hmm.
The Lord is at hand.
Go ahead.
Be careful for nothing,
Mm-hmm.
but in everything, by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known unto God.
So that's your third tool right there. You have to go to the Lord and ask him. It says, by prayer and supplication, while I'm running my mouth, go to 1 Samuel chapter 1. 1 Samuel 1. It says here in Philippians, by prayer and supplication and with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known unto God. Sometimes you have to go ahead and make that request because he's sitting there and we can read that he already know what you need before you even ask him. But maybe he's just trying to sit back and see if you believe enough in him to come ask him for it.
Right.
You call Peanut and them for the hookup.
All the time.
Huh?
All the time.
Don't you?
You do.
Kiki and Nay trying to get the hookup. Call on your God. He's sitting back waiting to see if you really believe in him, if you really go in your closet and get down on your knees and call him. He's just sitting back trying to see if you're going to do that. 1 Samuel chapter 1, my brother. Let's pick it up at that first verse. 1 Samuel 1 and 1. So we got the faith and we got the trust. So we working on this next one, which is that prayer power right here. Go ahead and call on him if you have faith in him, and if you trust him, then go talk to him about your broken heart. 1 Samuel 1 and 1. Go ahead and read it.
Now there was a certain man of Ramathaim Zophim of Mount Ephraim, and his name was Elkanah.
Yes, sir.
The son of Jeroham, the son of Elihu, the son of Tohu, the son of Zuph, and Ephratite.
Go ahead.
And he had two wives. The name of one was Hannah, and the name of the other Peninnah. And Peninnah had children, but Hannah had no children.
So we got this brother Elkanah, two wives. One got children, one doesn't have children. Okay, skip down to verse 4 and continue.
And when the time was that Elkanah offered, he gave to Peninnah his wife and to all her sons and her daughters portions. But unto Hannah he gave a worthy portion, for he loved Hannah. But the Lord had shut up her womb.
So now we already see who actually gives a woman the ability to have a baby. It's the Lord. He can shut your womb up or he can open it up. So if he opens it up, what makes you think he wants you to go kill that child, huh? But we ain't gonna get political. Go ahead and read.
And her adversary also provoked her sore, for to make her fret, because the Lord had shut up her womb.
So now you got one wife antagonizing the other one because she can't have children. And they looked at it as an honorable thing if you can have children for your husband. So you got the one with the children making the one without children feel real bad. Go ahead and read, brother.
And as he did so year by year, when she went up to the house of the Lord, so she provoked her. Therefore she wept and did not eat.
She did what, brother?
She didn't eat.
And then she wept. She cried and didn't eat. Go ahead and read.
Then said Elkanah, her husband, to her, Hannah, why weepest thou? And why eatest thou not?
So he's saying, why are you crying and why aren't you eating? What did she say, brother?
And why is thy heart grieved? Am not I better to thee than 10 sons?
So look, he asked her, am I not better to you than 10 sons? Okay. Now skip down to verse 10 and continue.
And she was bitterness of soul,
Mhm.
and prayed unto the Lord, and wept sore.
Y'all see that? She prayed and she cried. And sometimes we've been told as men that we can't cry. Huh? Have we been told that?
All the time.
You got to be hard. You got to man up. You ain't going to have no mental balance if you don't let that steam off, brothers. Okay?
That's right.
If you hurting, you got to let that hurt up off you. Because I've tried to hold it in. And it's just not good.
It just hurts more.
Yeah. It's not good. If you got to walk, I had to walk down the street one time to get away from my family and let that cry out. I ain't lying to you. I was in a bad accident back in 2014, and I went through a month in February 2015 where I did not sleep at all for about a whole month. I probably had a total of 1 hour sleep in a month's time. Cause I was in so much pain, I just couldn't sleep. And it started messing with my mental. That when the evening would come and my body saying, man, you sleepy, I knew I wasn't gonna get that sleep. And it just built up and built up and built up. I walked out the house and walked 2 blocks away and cried. Because I didn't want my wife and my children to see me do that. But you better go find you somewhere to let that steam off, brothers. Otherwise, you ain't gonna have no mental and emotional balance. You better go do it. And if you got somebody that you can cry on and they ain't gonna call you names, call that person and go cry on them. Huh? This is serious business, brothers and sisters. But this sister right here got her mental balance because she cried. And then she prayed to her God. What verse was that, brother?
That was verse 10.
Go ahead and continue. Let's see what happened. Go ahead.
And she vowed a vow and said, O Lord of hosts, if thou wilt indeed look on the affliction of thine handmaid, and remember me, and not forget thine handmaid, but will give unto thine handmaid a man child, then I will give him unto the Lord all the days of his life.
Y'all see that? Go ahead.
And there shall no razor come upon his head.
So now she made a vow to God, which we know through scripture, it tells us don't make no vow to God. Because if you don't make no vow to him, ain't nothing wrong with that. But if you make one and don't keep it, it's going to be required of you.
That part.
Okay? So look, you cannot do that. But this woman did it. And let's see what happened. Go ahead and read.
And it came to pass, as she continued praying before the Lord, that Eli marked her mouth.
Go ahead.
Now Hannah, she spake in her heart, only her lips moved.
So now she was over there praying silently. Only her lips was moving. Now Eli checking her out. Go ahead and read.
But her voice was not heard. Therefore Eli thought she had been drunken.
Go ahead.
And Eli said unto her, how long wilt thou be drunken? Put away thy wine from thee.
Now he telling the woman, you need to stop drinking because you drunk up in there,
Tripping.
right? Now Eli is the priest now, okay? But go ahead and read.
And Hannah answered and said, no, my Lord, I am a woman of sorrowful spirit.
See, she got that sorrowful mind. She has a broken heart. That's what she's telling him. Go ahead and read.
I have drunk neither wine nor strong drink, but have poured out my soul before the Lord.
She said she cried and she prayed and poured out her soul before God. Go ahead and read.
Count not thine handmaid for a daughter of Belial, for out of the abundance of my complaint and grief have I spoken hitherto.
Now you see that? She said she got a complaint and some grief. And you can go to the Lord like that. He said, bring all your burdens to him. If you believe him, if you trust in him, take them to him. He said, bring it all to me. Sit it right here in front of me. That proves that you believe in him.
Yes.
And without that faith, it is impossible to please him. Didn't we read that?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead and read, brother.
Then Eli answered and said, go in peace.
Yes, sir.
And the God of Israel grant thee thy petition that thou hast asked of him.
So now the priest tell her to go in peace because God of Israel is going to grant you your petition. That's what he told her. Yes. Go ahead and read.
And she said, let thine handmaid find grace in thy sight. So the woman went her way and did eat, and her countenance was no more sad.
Y'all know why? Because she used this fourth tool we going to talk about. That's that expectation. She walked away knowing her prayer was going to get answered. Do we see that?
Yes, sir.
If you pray and get off and get up from that prayer with doubt in your mind, it's over with. It's over. But that woman left there because remember, Elkanah asked her, why are you crying and why aren't you eating? But we just read right here that she had no more a sad countenance and then she ate something. Because she had that expectation that her prayer was going to get answered. Right. The Lord was going to give her a child. Go ahead and read, brother.
And they rose up in the morning early and worshiped before the Lord.
Yes, sir.
And returned and came to their house to Ramah. And Elkanah knew Hannah, his wife. And the Lord remembered her.
And the Lord did what, brother?
Remembered her.
Go ahead.
Wherefore it came to pass, when the time was come about after Hannah had conceived, that she bare a son and called his name Samuel.
Yes, sir.
Saying, because I have asked him of the Lord.
You see that? That's what that name Samuel means. I asked God for him. And she gave Samuel to Eli, and Samuel became the high priest of Israel. Okay? He was one of the great priests of God. But his mother was barren. She couldn't have any children. She took that prayer to the Lord, and the Lord heard her and answered her, and he healed that broken heart. And the sister had more children.
Praise God.
Okay? But that's a tool, that prayer, and that expectation is another one. Okay? But let's go ahead and make that plain. Go to Matthew 21. Matthew 21. You got to have that expectation that your prayer is going to get answered, that your petition will be granted. Matthew chapter 21, we're going to pick it up at verse 21. Matthew 21 and 21. We are talking about healing the broken hearts. 21 and 21. Go ahead and read it.
Jesus answered and said unto them, Verily I say unto you, if ye have faith.
He said, if, the biggest word in this book, if, I-F, 2 letters, giant word. If you have faith, go ahead.
And doubt not.
And doubt not.
You shall not only do this, which is done to the fig tree, but also if you shall say unto this mountain, be thou removed, and be thou cast into the sea, it shall be done. In all things whatsoever you shall ask in prayer.
He said, in all things whatsoever you ask him in prayer, go ahead and read it.
Believing you shall receive.
If you believe it, you're going to get it. We're reading this. If you want that healing, brothers and sisters, you want that peace in your house, then you go to the Lord and ask him for it and expect he's going to give it to you. Okay? If you need $200 more on your paycheck,
you got it.
Start asking for it. Huh? Just go ask him for that. All right. So look, let's stay in Matthew. Back up to that chapter 5, my brother. See, so far, our tools that we have come across is faith, trust, prayer, and that expectation that your prayer is going to be answered. That confidence knowing that you're going to get it. Okay? Matthew chapter 6, start at verse 6, brother. But then with that tool prayer, we got to make sure we doing that one right, though. Huh? I'm sorry, Matthew 5. I'm getting ahead of myself. Matthew 5, let's pick it up at verse 21. 5 and 21. 5 and 21. Because with that prayer, we got to make sure we doing it right. 5 and 21. Go ahead and read it.
You have heard that it was said by them of old time, thou shalt not kill, and whosoever shall kill shall be in danger of the judgment.
And that is true. Go ahead and read.
But I say unto you that whosoever is angry with his brother without a cause shall be in danger of the judgment.
Go ahead.
And whosoever shall say to his brother, Raka, shall be in danger of the council. But whosoever shall say, thou fool, shall be in danger of hellfire.
Go ahead.
Therefore, if thou bring thy gift to the altar, and there rememberest that thy brother hath aught against thee.
So if you go to the altar, if you go to pray to your God, and you remember that one of your brothers or one of your sisters has an aught against you, go ahead and read.
Leave there thy gift before the altar.
Walk away from that altar and get up off your knees. Go ahead.
And go thy way.
And go ahead.
First be reconciled to thy brother.
But first thing you do is be reconciled to your brother. be reconciled to your sister. Do that first. Fix that first. Go ahead and read.
And then come and offer thy gift.
And then you come and make your offer. Then you go and pray.
Right.
You have to fix those oughts first, brothers and sisters. You have to fix them. And sometimes it's hard, especially dealing with us. It's rough dealing with Israel.
Man.
It's hard. But you got to go fix that out before you go holler at the Lord. And we are reading this. So now, let's go into Mark chapter 11. Let's make it a little more plainer, okay? And look at it from another angle. Mark chapter 11 and pick it up at verse 25. 11 and 25. But Jesus told you, go fix that out with your people, and then you come back to him. And send up your petition or your prayer or your request. Okay? Mark chapter 11, verse 25, 11 and 25. Go ahead and read it.
And when ye stand praying, forgive if you have aught against any.
It said if you have aught against anybody, if you stand up and pray, you forgive that person. Go ahead and read.
That your Father also which is in heaven may forgive you your trespasses.
Because ain't none of us perfect. We all have our shortcomings, right? He said, hey, you forgive in order for you to be forgiven. Go ahead and read.
But if you do not forgive, neither will your Father which is in heaven forgive your trespasses.
So we see why it's important to go fix those oughts, right? And we see why we have to forgive others. Because we heartbroken about one thing, but we might have a whole nother department in our life, a whole nother chapter. We need to go over and fix this and then come back to the Lord about that. Y'all see that?
Yes, sir.
So look, let's go back to Matthew chapter 6. Matthew 6. All these instructions are in this Bible. They're in here. Matthew chapter 6, let's pick it up at verse 6. 6 and 6. Go ahead and read it.
But thou, when thou prayest, enter into thy closet, and when thou hast shut thy door, pray to thy Father which is in secret.
Now, he's not saying literally you got to pray in a closet. It's just saying privately. Pray privately. Go ahead and read.
And thy Father which seeth in secret shall reward thee openly.
Go ahead.
But when ye pray, use not vain repetitions as the heathen do. For they think that they shall be heard for their much speaking.
Y'all know them people that like to pray for 5-15 minutes?
My goodness.
Like in that movie, The Johnson Family Vacation, with Steve Harvey, said the entertainer was having a prayer competition, blessing the food. And you've been in them churches where they say, oh, well, sister right there, that's the prayer warrior. And she get up and pray in front of the whole congregation for people. I mean, pray about 30 minutes. We do the Lord's Prayer, but if you got your own personal reason to go to the Lord, you do that in your privacy of your own little circle. Y'all see that? This is Jesus saying this. Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 8. Be not ye therefore like unto them.
He said, don't be like those people. Go ahead.
For your Father knoweth what things ye have need of before ye ask him.
Because the Father know what you need even before you ask him. But you go holler at him in private and he'll reward you openly. Okay? So now let's go to Proverbs chapter 28 because like I said all the time, at one time I was trying to get the IRS up off me. I mean, they were close behind me. Y'all hear what I'm saying? I had to go in the privacy of my own situation and deal with that. So if whatever issue you have, you take care of it privately with God and he'll reward you openly, okay? That's what the book say. So Proverbs 28, my brother, and let's pick it up at verse 7. Proverbs 28, because you have a lot of people that'll do some praying, don't know who they praying to, and don't know why they praying because of this right here. 28 and 7. Go ahead and read it, brother.
Whoso keepeth the law is a wise son.
That's right.
But he that is a companion of riotous men shameth his father.
Skip down to verse 9 and continue.
He that turneth away his ear from hearing the law,
He said, any person that turn their ear away from hearing the law of God, go ahead and read.
even his prayer shall be abomination.
His prayer is abomination to God. Because you don't do nothing he tell you to do. You don't believe anything that he has written in his book, but yet you're going to call on him. That's an abomination to God. It won't happen. Stay in Proverbs. Let's go chapter 15. Because what we're seeing right now with that prayer tool for your broken heart, you have some things you have to take care of before you can use that tool. Number one, if you got off against somebody, you got to go fix that. If you have somebody to forgive, you have to forgive them.
Right.
And if you ain't keeping the commandments of God, your prayer is an abomination. So your heart gonna stay broken. It's gonna stay broken. It's going to stay broken.
And dry.
Proverbs 15 and 29. What does it say, brother?
The Lord is far from the wicked,
That's right.
but he heareth the prayer of the righteous.
So we see that. That's why. If you turn your ear from hearing the law, he's not going to hear you. But we know the definition of righteousness is keeping the commandments. That's simply the definition of righteousness.
That's it.
And if you don't believe me, we're not going to read it, but you can go read Deuteronomy 6 and 25. You can go read Luke 1, 5 and 6, or 1 Corinthians 15 and 34. You have the definitions of righteousness right there. In every one of those places, New and Old Testament, it say you keeping those commandments. That's the definition of righteousness. Okay? So now, let's go and hit 2 Kings chapter 20 and look at this, brother. 2 Kings chapter 20. Let's look at one of my favorite characters, my favorite people in this Bible. And what a great example this brother was. 2 Kings chapter 20. You need some air. Okay. 2 Kings chapter 20. 2 Kings chapter 20. And let's start at verse 1. 2 Kings 20 and verse 1. Go ahead and read it, brother.
In those days was Hezekiah sick unto death.
He was sick how, brother?
Unto death.
So he was sick to death, Hezekiah, the king of Judah. Go ahead and read.
And the prophet Isaiah, the son of Amoz, came to him and said unto him, Thus saith the Lord.
Thus saith the Lord God. Go ahead.
Set thine house in order.
He said, set your house in order, Hezekiah. Why, brother?
For thou shalt die and not live.
Because you're going to die. And you're not going to live, so set your house in order. Go ahead and read.
Then he turned his face to the wall and prayed unto the Lord, saying, I beseech thee, O Lord.
So right away, he went to that prayer tool. Why did he go there right away? Because he already had the first two. He had that faith and he had that trust in God.
Right.
So instantly, when he got that news, he just went to the tool number 3. Go ahead and read, brother.
I beseech thee, O Lord.
Yes, sir.
Remember now how I have walked before thee in truth and with a perfect heart.
So he told God, remember how I've been walking in front of you. In truth and with a perfect heart. That's how I've been walking. Don't forget that. Remember that. Go ahead and read.
And have done that which is good in thy sight. And Hezekiah wept sore.
Y'all see that brother was crying. Hey, I saw a t-shirt recently, Real Men Cry. Y'all see that? It said Hezekiah, it said he wept sore. That means he really did some crying. Because that prophet came in and said, you gonna die, get your house in order. So he turned to the Lord, and when he turned to the Lord, like I always say, he brought in some righteousness and obedience and sat that on the table in front of his God and say, look at that. Look at what I'm sitting here. Go ahead and read, brother.
And it came to pass,
yes, sir,
before Isaiah was gone out into the middle court.
Look here, before Isaiah made it to the middle court, go ahead and read.
That the word of the Lord came to him, saying, Turn again and tell Hezekiah that the captain of my people.
He said, look, before Isaiah got past the middle court, the word of the Lord came to him and said, turn around, go back in there and tell Hezekiah, what, my brother? Go ahead.
The captain of my people, thus saith the Lord, the God of David thy father. I have heard thy prayer.
He said, I've heard your prayer. Didn't we read that he heard the prayer of the righteous?
Yes,
We just
sir.
read that.
We
Go ahead
did.
and read.
I have seen thy tears.
And I saw your tears, so we know he was really crying, right?
Yes, sir.
I saw them tears,
Wept sore.
Hezekiah. Go ahead and read.
Behold,
Yes.
I will heal thee.
And didn't we say he gonna heal the broken heart? But he healed his body physically too. Go ahead and read.
On the third day, thou shalt go up unto the house of the Lord.
But he told him this, on the third day, I need you to go up to the house of the Lord. Look, the Lord didn't need Hezekiah to do nothing. He could have just called it and it would have happened. But a lot of times he'll keep testing your faith in him.
Mm-hmm.
He'll keep doing that. He said, but on the third day, go up to the house of the Lord, Hezekiah. Go ahead and read, brother.
And I will add unto thy days 15 years.
And I'm going to add 15 days to your life. How about that?
15 years.
15 years. Look, that's a long, good blessing when it comes to you getting ready to die right now. 15 more years. Huh?
Right.
From right now, 2023, that's 2038. Right? Go ahead and read.
And I will deliver thee and this city out of the hand of the king of Assyria.
Yeah, because we know Sennacherib was always a threat to come bear down on Jerusalem, right? And that dude was loco, okay? Go ahead and read.
And I will defend this city for mine own sake,
And
for my servant David's sake.
Go ahead.
And Isaiah said, take a lump of figs.
Mm-hmm.
And they took and laid it on the boil, and he recovered.
Y'all see that? So clearly he had some kind of boil, and they took a lump of figs and laid it on him, and it healed. But oftentimes the Lord requires some kind of action out of you to see, so he can see that you really believe him.
Right.
Go ahead and read.
And Hezekiah said unto Isaiah,
Mm-hmm.
what shall be the sign that the Lord will heal me,
Mm-hmm.
and that I shall go up into the house of the Lord the third day?
Go ahead.
And Isaiah said, this sign shalt thou have of the Lord, that the Lord will do the thing that he hath spoken.
Mm-hmm.
Shall the shadow go forward 10 degrees or go back 10 degrees?
Y'all know how they had things where they could tell what time of day it is, the shadow on the thing. He said it's going to go forward or it's going to go backward. What did Hezekiah say? Go ahead and read.
And Hezekiah answered, it is a light thing for the shadow to go down 10 degrees.
He says it's a light thing because it's supposed to do that. But if it's going to go reverse, that means you're going to kind of reverse the motion of the sun a little bit. Go ahead and read.
But let the shadow return backward 10 degrees.
He said, but let that shadow return back 10 degrees. That's what Hezekiah say. And that's a sign right there. Go ahead and read.
And Isaiah the prophet cried unto the Lord.
So Isaiah went on back and hollered at the Lord. Go ahead and read.
And he brought the shadow 10 degrees backward,
Uh-huh.
by which it had gone down in the dial of Ahaz.
You see that? That brother had that faith. That brother had that trust. And then he used that tool, that prayer. Okay? So now we see that. So now let's go hit 1 John 3:22. Way back there in the back of your Bible. 1 John chapter 3 and verse 22. Because we saw with Hezekiah, he had that faith. He trusted God. He prayed. He was a man of obedience because he sat it on the table in his prayer. And then God manifested his power right in front of that brother's eyes by making the sundial go back 10 degrees, go back some degrees. Okay? 10 degrees, yes, sir. So now look, let's go 1 John 3:22. 1 John 3:22. Look, this is a chest pocket verse right here. You can hang your hat on this one. 1 John chapter 3 and verse 22. What that say, brother?
And whatsoever we ask, we receive of him.
It said, and whatsoever you ask God for, you will receive it, brother. Go ahead and read.
Because we keep his commandments.
Because you keep his commandments. Go ahead.
And do those things that are pleasing in his sight.
Y'all see that? And we just saw an example with Hezekiah. We saw an example with Peninnah, Elkanah's wife. Okay? You have to go to the Lord with some obedience and some righteousness in your pocket. Wickedness in your pocket is not going to get your prayers heard. Disobedience will not get your prayers heard.
At all.
Believing in yourself is not going to get your prayers heard. Believing in vice grip them and being scared of them ain't going to get your prayers heard. No, it's not. You have to do those things that's right to God. Then you can use that tool called the prayer. Okay. So now let's go to 2 Thessalonians chapter 3. 2 Thessalonians chapter 3. We just want one verse. Because we read in 2 Corinthians that God is the God of comfort. Didn't we read that?
We did. Yes, sir.
Didn't we read that? He's the God of comfort. Let's look at something else he is. 2 Thessalonians 3:16. What that say, brother?
Now the Lord of peace himself
Mhm.
give you peace always by all means.
Uh-huh.
The Lord be with you all.
So he's the God of comfort. He's also the Lord of peace. Y'all need some peace in your house?
I sure do.
He is the Lord of peace and he is the God of comfort. But you have to put those tools to use. That faith, that trust, that prayer, that expectations, and then that action, which is being right in his eyesight.
That's right.
Okay. So now let's go and hit Psalm chapter 29. Psalm chapter 29. We just have 3 more spots left after this. This wasn't a long lesson. Psalms chapter 29. Psalm 29. We're going to pick it up at verse 1. 29:1. We talking healing the broken heart. That's something that's real easy for the God of comfort and the Lord of peace that has that great power. Okay? Infinite power, infinite wisdom. Psalm 29, verse 1. Go ahead and read it.
Give unto the Lord, O ye mighty.
Mm-hmm.
Give unto the Lord glory and strength.
Yes, go ahead.
Give unto the Lord the glory due unto his name.
It say, give the Lord the glory that's due unto his name. Go ahead.
The Lord sitteth.
No. Finish that verse.
Oh, pardon me. Worship the Lord in the beauty of his holiness.
Worship the Lord in the beauty of his holiness. Skip down to verse 10 and continue, brother.
The Lord sitteth upon the flood.
Mm-hmm.
Yea, the Lord sitteth king forever.
The Lord sit king forever. Go ahead.
The Lord will give strength unto his people.
Uh-huh.
The Lord will bless his people with peace.
And he will do that because we just read he is the Lord of peace. Let's go back to Philippians. Hold your place in the Psalms because we coming back there. But let's go to Philippians because our last 2 places after this is in the Psalm. Philippians, let's go chapter 4. Philippians 4. And we got all these witnesses in the Bible telling you the same thing over and over. Philippians chapter 4, my brother. Let's pick it up at verse 8. Philippians chapter 4 and verse 8. Go ahead and read it.
Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest,
Yes.
whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report,
Yes.
if there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think of these things.
So now Paul said, you think on these things, the things that are true, honest, just, pure, lovely, and that are of a good report. He said, think on these things. Go ahead and read.
Those things which ye have both learned.
He said, the things that you have learned
and received
and
heard
and
seen in me,
and that you have seen in him, all those things that you saw in Paul, the stuff that you have learned from him, received, and that you have heard and seen him. Go ahead.
do.
He said, do those things. Go ahead.
And the God of peace shall be with you.
And the God of peace shall be with you. Go ahead and read. No, I'm sorry. That's good. That's good. So again, he say, if you do those right things, the God of peace will be with you. We just reading the same thing over and over here. So look, let's go hit Psalms chapter 34. Psalm 34. Because today people have many reasons to have broken hearts. I saw last night, it was somebody just shot up a neighborhood in East Oakland last night. Just shot bullet holes, again. Bullet holes in the buildings, in the cars, windows shattered. I don't think a person got hit. Just bullets flying everywhere. People are going through stuff everywhere out here. Grief on every side. Psalm 34, let's pick it up at verse 17. Go ahead and read it.
The righteous cry, and the Lord heareth,
He said, the righteous cry, and the Lord hear them. Go ahead.
and delivereth them out of all their troubles.
And it said, when the righteous people cry to the Lord, he will hear them and deliver them out of all their trouble. This does not say everybody that cry to the Lord, he hears them.
Cries, right.
Do we see this?
Yes, sir.
It said the righteous cry to the Lord, and he will hear them and deliver them, not out of some of their troubles, out of all the trouble, okay? Go ahead and read.
The Lord is nigh unto them that are of a broken heart,
He is close to those that have that broken heart. Go ahead.
and saveth such as be of a contrite spirit.
Go ahead.
Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but
Uh-huh.
the Lord delivereth him out of them all.
You see that? It says the righteous person gonna have some afflictions, but the Lord gonna deliver you out of every last one of them.
Praise God.
And just because we keep reading this word righteous, let's go get one definition for it. Let's go Deuteronomy 6:25. Then we'll come back to Psalm, to our last place. Because we've said it enough. We got to make sure that everybody know what righteousness is. Somebody might not know. You know what? Don't go there. Let's go New Testament. Because somebody might have something to say on that. Let's go Luke 1. But you read that in the old book. Well, let's go get it out the new one then. Luke 1. Let's pick it up at verse 5. Because this book got 2 testaments, but it's one word though. Right? 2 testaments, but it's one word. Luke chapter 1, my brother, pick it up at verse 5. Go ahead and read it.
There was in the days of Herod, the king of Judea, a certain priest named Zacharias,
Yes, sir.
of the course of Abiah,
Yes.
and his wife was the daughters of Aaron, and her name was Elizabeth.
So we talking about Zacharias and Elizabeth, John the Baptist's parents. That's what we talking about here. Go ahead and read that next verse.
And they were both righteous before God.
They were both righteous before God, doing what, brother?
Walking in all the commandments and ordinances of the Lord blameless.
And that's the definition of righteousness right there. Just in case somebody was wondering what that was. So now, let's go to our last place, Psalm 55. Psalm chapter 55, and we're going to start at verse 1. 55 and 1. The Lord hear the righteous. He is close to the broken heart. He will heal the brokenhearted. But if you're going through something, you got to let that steam off you. You got to get that pressure off yourselves, especially the brothers. Psalm 55 and 1, my brother, what did it say?
Give ear to my prayer, O God,
Uh-huh.
and hide not thyself from my supplication.
Go ahead.
Attend unto me
Mhm.
and hear me.
Yes.
I mourn in my complaint and make a
You
noise.
see that? He said, I mourn in my complaint and I make a noise. Go ahead and read.
Because of the voice of the enemy,
Mm-hmm.
because of the oppression of the wicked.
Mm-hmm.
For they cast iniquity upon me, and in wrath they hate me.
Go ahead.
My heart is sore pained within me,
Mm-hmm.
and the terrors of death are fallen upon me.
Go ahead.
Fearfulness and trembling are come upon me,
Mm-hmm.
and horror hath overwhelmed me.
Go ahead.
And I said, oh, that I had wings like a dove, for then would I fly away and be at rest.
But y'all know what? We don't have wings and we can't just fly away. You got to endure that thing. Skip on down to verse 16 and continue.
As for me,
Mm-hmm.
I will call upon God,
And that's what we're supposed to do. That's one of our tools. Go ahead.
and the Lord shall save me.
Go ahead.
Evening and morning, and at noon will I pray and cry aloud,
Yes.
and he shall hear my voice.
Yes, sir. Skip on down to verse 22. But see, look right here. He said, evening, morning, and noon will I pray and cry aloud, and he shall hear my voice. Read that verse 22.
Cast thy burden upon the Lord,
Mm-hmm.
and he shall sustain thee.
Yes.
He shall never suffer the righteous to be moved.
Do we see this, brothers and sisters?
Yes.
It says, cast your burdens upon the Lord. He shall sustain thee, and he shall never suffer the righteous to be moved. I hope somebody was edified with today's lesson, and I thank you for your time.